So we're continuing on the topic of devotion, but just a quick word on who is Mara, because in the previous session I talked about Venerable Vakali who passed away and used the knife on himself, so he committed suicide after realizing that there is no one here to die or to live. And then the Buddha said that there was a dark cloud, which is Mara, looking for that consciousness of Venerable Vakali but cannot find. So it clearly tells us that consciousness is really alive. It has that feelings create, thoughts and feelings create together. Okay, how do they create? They create this form. So it doesn't have to be a gross body form. So later on, when we talk about meditation, you'll find that in early Buddhism, there are the jhana states. Jhana in Pali, it has been translated into the word Zen. So in Chinese, it's called Chan, right? So those states are very rarefied state of the mind, which includes feelings. And the more you let go of, the more refined that jhanic state is, and there is that very subtle form left. And there is very slight clinging left, and that is still a form of consciousness. Okay, so let me not digress and come back to what Mara is. So when I first went onto the Buddhist path, I didn't hear the word Mara so much in the Mahayana or Tibetan tradition, but I heard it a lot, more in the early Buddhist tradition. So who is Mara? So basically I couldn't figure out what Mara is. I just thought that Mara is this very strong negative tendency in the mind, right? that refuse, or it's very hard to for us to clean off in order to see reality. So it's like reality is like a mirror. It reflects everything. That is the nature of the mind, which is pure, bright, reflective, like a mirror or a crystal or a diamond. But however, it is stained by maybe eons of misunderstanding of what the mind is. So we need to clean this crystal or this diamond or this mirror, and some stains are very hard to come off. It just refuses to come off, and that stain is that idea of an ego that is very prideful and conceited and thinks that is always right. So this one is very hard to clean off, right? So basically I thought that that's Mara, that stain that I just find it hard to clean off. Okay, the egoic pride, the defilement, the distortion of the mind. Okay, but however, in this slide, right, in early Buddhist discourse, Mara has not yet assumed a belligerent attitude compared to later Buddhism. Yeah, so later Buddhism could have demonized Mara, but in early Buddhism, he's thought to be able to exert power over ordinary people. He influences inhabitants of a village to abuse Buddhist monks or those of another village not to give alms to the Buddhas. So Mara does have a strong influence over people. So such episodes make it clear that Mara does not always function as a personification of inner distortion of the mind, in the sense of acting out internal struggles. Rather, these tales interpret challenges the Buddha and the nuns had to face in contemporary society as the work of Mara. So any external threat or challenge can be interpreted as a challenge by Mara. So this I took from Bhikkhu Analeo. He's a Theravada monk who's well versed in both early and later Buddhism. So later Buddhism will be Mahayana. So Mara is also a reborn being in the early Buddhist canon. So this famous story was when Mara was disturbing the left-hand chief disciple of the Buddha, known as Venerable Moggallana. So Venerable Moggallana has superb psychic powers, like the Buddha. and his other chief disciple, the right hand chief disciple, Shariputra, male chief disciple, was known for wisdom, but he didn't have any psychic powers. So enlightenment doesn't need you to have psychic powers. Yeah, it's just yeah, the potentiality of mind. So actually psychic power is not important, but anyway, so Mara entered Moggallana's mouth, yeah, and went into his stomach and gave him stomach ache. And Moggallana could tell that it's Mara there, right? Then he threatened Mara, and Mara came out of his mouth, Moggallana's mouth, and stood against the door bar. Moggallana saw him and said, "I see you even there, wicked one. Do not think he doesn't see me. That's you, wicked one, standing against the door bar." And then Venerable Moggallana said, "Once upon a time, wicked one, I was a Mara named Dusi, and I had a sister named Kali." Kali reminds me of the Hindu female deity, that looks very scary, which the Hindus pray to. But actually, yeah, they have a wrathful aspect of Kali and a kind aspect, which is really duality, very human being, very human. Humans are also, right, very nice, very kind, but behind a very nice and very kind person who is unenlightened, there is a very wrathful side to them. Okay, that is pride. Yeah. So central world. Okay, let's see where Mara came from. Actually, Mara is a deity. Okay, so in the early Buddhist tradition, there are 31 realms of existence, whereas in the Mahayana there's only 6. They didn't bother to map out all of them. Okay, so yeah, so where does Mara sit? So Mara is actually quite high up. Let's see. Oh, it's actually on the 11 realm. Devas means, a heavenly being, wielding power over the creation of others. Oh, actually it's quite powerful, right? So that's how Mara influence us to have in changing our mind and our intention, because it's very easy to change our mind intention, right? Because we are all not equanimous. So these devas enjoy sensual pleasures created by others for them. Mara, the personification of delusion and desire, lives here. So how do you become a Mara? 10 wholesome actions: generosity, development of virtue and wisdom. Right, so okay, then below is devas delighting in creation. These devas delight in the sense objects of their own creation. So above would be they enjoy pleasures created by others for them. So I read somewhere, I can't remember where because I read so many books, that there's a kind of being that actually takes our emotions as food. So if you're angry and you have desire, you give up this emotional tone, which these beings suck it in as a form of food, right? So that reminds me of Mara. They enjoy pleasures created by others for them. Okay. So why do I have number 9? Oh, number 9 are contented devas, heavenly beings. This is the Tushita heaven, which is a realm of pure delight and gaiety. Means quite happy, happy realm. Yeah, Bodhisattvas abide here prior to their final human birth. Okay, so that will be a very high level Bodhisattvas, because I think in Vajrayana Buddhism, they talk about the 5 paths and 10 bhumis of a Bodhisattva, meaning the mental state of a Bodhisattva, right? The more and more refined, then when they are ready for the final liberation, they take rebirth here before they come back as a human. So this is where Bodhisattva Maitreya, the next Buddha, is said to dwell. So again, well, there are people waiting for the Bodhisattva Maitreya to come to earth to become a Buddha. I'm not really a believer of such things. Just as Jesus, right? I mean, if Jesus were to come back again, or I don't think the Christians would recognize him. They'll probably crucify him again because to be really realistic, our world is still quite a very judgmental and opinionated world, and we tend to get angry when there are those that disagree with us. And seeing the state of Christianity, which has some judgment in it, I don't think if Jesus were to come back, he will agree with it. And I don't think Jesus will agree to be worshipped as a god as well, because in the Gnostic Gospels, he certainly is not God. So Gnostic means self-knowledge, knowledge, which jhana is. In Hinduism is also self-knowledge. And Mara, and Maitreya Buddha, I would say even if Maitreya Buddha is reborn here, I'm not so sure how many of us will actually recognize him as well, to be very honest, right? Because we already have difficulties with Buddhist teachers sometimes. Like, oh, I don't like this teacher. It's not saying the things that I like to hear about my attainment myself. Let me move on. So you could be facing a Buddha or an Arhat, or a once returner in the Buddhist early Buddhist enlightenment stage, and you won't know. And they say something which is the truth and you can't take it and you move on, you see. So yeah, so that's all I would like to say about Mara here. Thank you for listening, and